Welcome, everybody, once again to your favorite quickie, in hopefully a half hour or less. Another B&B Quickie with Fanboy Tone. That's me. 7 p.m. We are live. And you're happy to be here. It's going to be a good one tonight, folks. How you everybody doing out there? Hope you're all well. Of course, we are still dealing in that global pandemic. And as always, I want to make sure that you're washing your hands and washing your butts, keeping clean, and wearing your masks if need to be in the proper space. But here we are, together again, to talk about a sweet topic and a very personal favorite topic. Something that I played a long time ago and very often, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time. But before we get big and deep into that, how are you all doing this evening? How are things going on there? What is going on? And how are we doing? Drastin, nice to see you again. Renegade Bacon, appreciate y'all being here. I got some music I kept meant to play, but there we go. There we go. What is everybody up to? What did you guys do today? Anybody have to work or deal with any BS or anything? Anything fun? No? Nobody likes to talk? I don't like to talk either. So I'm going to let my cat... Cat, where'd you go? No, the cat didn't even want to talk. Yes, we are here to talk about the Super NES classic game, Turtles in Time, brought to you by Konami. Now, I don't know if many of you did play this or many of you are old like me, but it was definitely one of my favorites and still one of my favorites. And a classic that has definitely withheld the sands of time. I honestly, like, it keeps getting iterations all over the place, and in the last few years, once again, even last year, kind of saw another revival as well, too. Donatello, we got a Donatello guy out there. There you go. Forge Hammer's a huge Donatello fan. That's his favorite. Cap says, I dealt with some dummies sending me WhatsApp messages all day. I don't know what to tell you. Forge sometimes likes to get, get chatty. Drastin playing some Slay the Spire while I remember this classic from it. Oh, yeah, he won't shut up about that. But again, thank you, everybody, for popping in here. I'll talk a little bit about last night's show last night. If you were able to make it last night, by the end of it, boy, oh boy, we were getting real saucy. Dude was stratosphere, so, hey, why not, right? That's what we like to do, is get a little saucy on the show, and definitely, I don't know if it necessarily got off rails necessarily last night, but I don't know if you guys got social media. So here's the thing. He makes great clips. He does a lot of work to produce the show and create all kinds of different stuff for our social medias. And he made a slip up and called Kirk like a cast member of Star Wars or something like that. And apparently I gave this look like, what? Did you say Star Wars? We're supposed to say Star Trek? And it's a pretty funny clip. If you guys haven't seen it, check out Instagram, Facebook page, or Twitter. And if not, I can always DM it to you if you'd like to see it too. But it's a pretty funny clip. It's very entertaining. I definitely kind of give him like the side eye, like, what is he talking about? So it was a great show. Thank you, Barrett. I appreciate that. We did get a lot of feedback again for it. It went longer than normal, but, again, we got a lot of, so far, positive feedback. So, I guess if the show, sucked more, you guys wouldn't come back for more. So we appreciate that. So, Jay Hill, you only played one of the Turtles game, maybe on Nintendo, so you're probably talking about the original NES version of the Turtles TMNT game. That was a very hard game. I don't know many people that were able to beat that, myself included, outside of using a Game Genie, because by the time you could finally even get to the Technodrome, get through the Technodrome to get to Shredder, you may have only had one turtle left with like a little bit of sliver of health. That game was effing ridiculous. It could suck more. It certainly could. It certainly could. Yeah, no worries, Jay Hill. We always appreciate you. You always catch the VODs, on Twitch itself afterwards or later at some of the other spots that we throw them out at. So, we appreciate it regardless. You're always around for a lot of the streams. But without further ado, this was a big game for me. Like, just overall, generally, this was a huge game that I played very, very often. I was big into the Ninja Turtles. Like, throughout the end part of the 80s, I definitely was into Transformers, He-Man, a little bit of G.I. Joe, and Star Wars toys. Once we started getting closer to that 90s and the Turtles toys really started came in, I want to say the Turtles really started kicking off around 87, 88. these were like the next wave of games that of action figures that I played with a lot. I had a ton. I actually still have pretty much all my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys in a Turtles chest at my mom's place in a closet. I don't have a lot of my old retro toys except for the Ninja Turtle ones because I had literally so many. I had the party wagon, I had the sewer set, I never got the Technodrome. That was the one thing I always wanted, was the Technodrome playset. That was the one thing I always wanted. Never got it, and I wish someday I'm going to own a Technodrome of some sort from Ninja Turtles, and I definitely hope that, like Hasbro or somebody picks it up, or somebody just, or NECA even comes out with this massive Technodrome, because that would be pretty dope. But anyways, this game, when it came out on the SNES was a big system for me. Like, I had an NES. I played a lot of NES games. Frustratingly, of course, because most games back in that, specifically that console that were coming out of the coin-op era, were super hard because those developers were in the mentality of, dumping more quarters into it and trying to make a game not so much challenging, but overly challenging, so you would dump more quarters into it. Fortunately, in the SNES era, that kind of moved away. Some of my fondest memories of this was going to my cousins, and they had the SNES before I did. They got it for Christmas one year, and they had like Street Fighter right out the gate, of course Mario World, Turtles in Time. I don't know if that was the same Christmas they got that. F-Zero, a lot of great stuff. And we would go over there. I would go over there on the weekends, pretty much every weekend, and hang out while their parents were at the bar and my parents were doing whatever. And we'd stay up all night playing games, eating bowls of cereal. The next day we'd wake up. Parents would, their parents, my aunt and uncle would go to town, get groceries or whatever it was. It was a Saturday or Sunday, and they'd bring back. This is gonna be really random and really really date me. I remember when like the hamburgers and the cheeseburgers were like 30 some cents. They would buy bags full of these things and bring them home with like cases of Crystal Pepsi. So we'd sit around and play SNES all day, drinking Crystal Pepsi, eating McDonald's hamburgers by the sack full, and just rotating the controller out of our hands. So I can definitely say that that's probably one of the reasons I'm rounder than most of y'all folks. So, oh yeah, the 70s, right. The game came out in 92. Was originally produced by Konami. Now, when it hit the SNES, it's actually a port from the actual arcade. So there's a lot of weird things that happen with the numerical version of it and the arcade ports. This was actually a sequel to the original arcade side-scrolling beat-em-up game. So when they ported this over, they changed some stuff, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this is actually straight port from coin-op to the system for the NES, and it was brought over. I don't know if Konami had a big hand in it when it was on the arcades. That I don't know, but I'm gonna guess probably. But it was anyways ported to the SNES in '92, and then later that year, Sega got a port kind of this, like a port of a port, which that was called Hyperstone Heist. It took pretty much most of this game, and I don't think it added a whole lot, but they just kind of repackaged it and renamed it because back then it was so decisive, between the two different type of consoles. So you guys got jokes out there too. You guys got some real good jokes. I'm trying to date myself out there. But let's check out a couple things here. So first thing I'm gonna show you is, if anybody remembers the select screen, I remember this very very well. Because 99.9% of the time, I always wanted to be Leonardo. Growing up, I always wanted to be, yes, of course, Drastin, because why would me and you not select the same fucking character in another random fucking game? Clearly, it would be Leonardo. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah, if you had a multi-tap, I believe this was 4 players as well, but I don't think we ever had, I don't know if we ever got a chance to do 4 players in that. I could be wrong in that. It was so long ago drinking Crystal Pepsi. But if I wasn't Leo, I'd always want to be like, Michelangelo or somebody like that as well, too. At the time, you thought Raph was bad because the sides were so short, but it really didn't matter. I don't think it was that big of a deal. I'll be a nice fanboy and joke about how old you. Thank you, Atomic. Yeah, somebody else is not making a... That's good. Get in my good graces. Probably limited to the color palette. I don't know. Yeah, it is more yellow than orange, isn't it? That is interesting. Maybe because it pops more. I don't know. Or maybe because originally the orange was less orange and more yellow. But very, very fond. Like, everybody's always fighting over Leo, right? Everybody always Fought over Leo. Oh, that's the wrong one. Where is... Ah, yes. So, this is what I want to show you. I'm already popping buttons. You guys, we'll get to that in a second. Here's the original trailer.
Is Cowabungie.
Which I remember.
And this is Cowabungo.
But the turtles for your 16-bit system are Cowabunga! Holy cow, it's Turtles in Time! The cool arcade game for Super NES. Now with tasty turtle duels. And psych up your Sega Genesis with the
I remembered it when I saw it, Drastin. And then I was like, oh my god, I remember this.
This
the cows.
is Cowabingo.
But the turtles for Super NES and Sega Genesis are...
Cowabunga, dude.
It's pretty fucking great, right? Pretty fucking great. Hey, what up, King? Welcome. Oh, I appreciate you popping in. Thanks, guys. But yeah, I when I saw that and I went looking for it because I really enjoy looking for those old commercials for some of these old games, and then when you find them, you're like, holy shit! Like I wouldn't have remembered that had you had told me, but now that I've seen it, I completely remember it. I remember the fucking cows and everything. Fucking great. You were a RAF guy, Jay Hill? Yeah, I think everybody always had their favorite. No doubt. No doubt always had their favorite. So, we saw the select screen, but if you let the game sit for a minute, it would play at the start screen if you didn't hit a button. This is the screen. I remember this very well too. Now, careful if you're sensitive to flashing, turn away now because this could there's your warning. It definitely flashes weird. Give you yes, I definitely know. If you're sensitive to eye stuff, it's freaked out real fast. Oh my god, there it is. There it is. Real short, real sweet. That was it. That was that select screen. What's that one? Ah, yes, I remember that. Okay. I'm trying to remember I actually don't remember my fucking buttons, how I put them up. Yeah, so again, since it was a port from the arcade, there was some changes made, and I'll get into that a little deeper in a moment, but one of the great things about this game overall was clearly that if you found an arcade, you could get up to 4 people to play. If you had the multi-tap, you could do 4 players on the SNES as well, too. But overall, like, the level designs were amazing. Like, you know, it was just a side-scrolling left to right, but, like, it really, like, for a game of that style, really felt more than just, like, some of the other arcade games that were kind of left to right, just had a background. It really felt like, especially with Turtles and their locales, it felt like you were kind of really into the game. So environmentally, it was really, really awesome. Who remembers Big Apple, 3 a.m.? You know, right out the gate, you're dealing with Krang in like the big super suit because he was like, I don't know, he grew huge or whatever, and you got to fight Baxter Stockman at the end of the level. You know, you're in like some scaffolding in a skyscraper. You know, so right out the gate, it just feels like an epic game. You know what I mean? It just completely feels like you're playing, you know, a Turtles game, and there's so many great boss battles into it. You know, Baxter Stockman, Leatherhead, Slash too, which is really interesting. But this is another game too that actually utilized Mode 7. If you guys are familiar with Mode 7, Mode 7 was part of that kind of like over-the-shoulder perspective of movement. They always, you know, it was kind of like more of a buzzword, I think, than anything. And I think that's what helped create the FX chip, which eventually helped create the Nintendo, aka Nintendo Ultra 64 as well too. So, you know, and they'd say, oh, it's got Mode 7, just kind of like how F-Zero was always Mode 7. It had that really unique, almost 3D feeling ability, you know, so they touted that in this. And specifically in this game, it was in the Neon Knight Rider stage, which is actually one of my favorite stages because you go over the shoulder and you're on the kind of like these boogie boards, these hoverboards, and you're flying through like a futuristic New York or whatever, and the foot are on them too, and you got to take them out and everything like that too. Star Fox utilizes pretty much all Mode 7, the FX chip and things like that as well too. Some very memorable quotes and little things because there wasn't a lot of dialogue in it, but it was my toe, when you'd like hit your toe on something, you know, the Turtles would say that, or pizza power when you find the box of pizza to get you some life. And I think you sell Drassen, you said something earlier, and when they die, I think shell shocked or something. Yeah, exactly. You know, so awesome little dialogue snippets too that are very memorable. Like I swear, like every so often, like I say my toe, like if I stub my toe, I'm like, my toe, thinking of like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that, because again, played the shit out of this stuff. So here's some interesting stuff that I don't know if a lot of people realize. Something that I kind of knew a long time ago, and because it recently came out again in a revised platform, there were, from the arcade port to the SNES, there was 4 new bosses actually added, and 2 actually moved around. Or 1, but there's 2 characters. The Rat King was actually added at the end of the sewer surfing level. Well, excuse me, hitting wrong buttons all day over here. Slash replaced Cement Man at the end of prehistoric level, which is prehistoric turtle source. And on the pirate ship level, Rocksteady and Bebop actually replaced Toka and Razor. Toka and Razor were then moved to the new Technodrome level, because the Technodrome level was a level added on the actual port when it came to the SNES. And that battle, oh boy, I'd love to talk about that one. I definitely will here in a moment. And then at the end, instead of just being normal Shredder outside of the Statue of Liberty, you actually fight Super Shredder, because this was also right around the time or right after the release of Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze in theaters and or on VHS. So the only other little blurbs that are worth mentioning is that the SNES version also added 2 new regular enemies, Roadkill Rodneys. Those replaced the boxing robots, and Mousers, which were all over, especially in the Technodrome level as well too. So, but not the Lizard King. No. How much pizza was eaten during playing or watching the Turtles? I don't know if it was a lot for me, so much pizza. It was definitely a lot of, see right here as you see, at the end of the normal boss level in the arcade, you just fought those little dudes. I can't remember the aliens' names. They look like xenomorphs. And it had something to do with that mutated pizza or something like that. You would just fight a ton of these nonstop. But here again, this is where the actual SNES version added the Rat King as a boss instead. And I can't remember the name of that little ship he had. I think I had that toy as well too. It's pretty dope. Here he comes. Here he comes. You would watch Bugs Bunny eat carrots? Oh man. There's a Why do you say? Look how orange that wrap. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he kind of does look orange, doesn't he? Maybe, yeah. Maybe it was restriction with the color palettes they had. I guess I don't know. It's a great question. A very good observation. Oh! He's gonna take him out. Rat King was one of the coolest action figures too. Has he hit his toe yet on that thing? Is this guy like doing like a perfect run on this? Like, what's going on here? Does anybody remember that? That was like a jet ski or something. What was that called? Does anybody remember that was called? I don't know if anybody else had the toy for that as well too. There he is. And he got him. Sewer surfing. Awesome. That's awesome, right? That's awesome. So yeah, so again, the Technodrome level that was added in the SNES version of this game, that level was a bitch. And the only reason that level was a bitch for me is because if you remember, at the end of the level, you had to grab the Foot Clan members and you had to toss them at Shredder, which was not easy to do, like at all. It sounded, well, so here's the thing. In the arcade, it was random when you would throw them at the screen. In the console versions, it wasn't random. You had to, I think it was like you had to, when you were fighting them, you had to pull back as you're hitting, and it would grab them and toss them. That shit drove me nuts, because I remember, like, we would sometimes be on this level forever, and I could never get down the toss to throw these at Shredder. You know, because again, maybe that's that Mode 7 kind of thing. You're over the shoulder. You had to roll the D-pad. Well, F me in the goat ass, because I'll tell you what, that was like the hardest thing for me trying to do that in this game was toss them at the screen. Like, I would do my best to practice on other levels, and it still was so hard to do. But the level was dope, don't get me wrong, and this was a cool scene, and it was a cool boss battle, especially at the time for like a game like this. But man, I had the most hell of a time trying to figure that out. It was not something that I found was easy at all, and it drove me nuts because My cousins had no problem with it, but I struggled with it for whatever stupid reason. But yeah, that was great level. I love that level. Let's see. So, Prehistoric Turtlesaurs, one of my favorite levels, because as a kid I loved dinosaurs like any other kid. Happened right after Technodrome level. You beat Shredder, and he'd open up a portal and toss you through time, and that kind of kick-started your the actual Turtles in Time about halfway through the game. One of my other favorite levels and names is Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. And then, I'm trying to think of, I think this was just Moonbase was the first time you fought Krang in the game. He was just on the moon. Remember, he's in that little saucer or whatever. That was a great level too. But you dealt with a lot of those electric, the dudes had the little cords. I don't know if those are the Rodneys that they're talking about as well too. And then some of the floor stuff, man. That level was a biatch too, but it was such a great level and because the boss battle was so cool because Krang would sit around, he kind of wobble around and go all over the spot. Had to deal with that as well too. I'm trying to think if so Neon Knight Riders. It's the second time you fought Krang, and that's what after the mode 7 you get to the end of the level and you would switch and you have to fight Krang in the actual android suit, which is pretty fresh, honestly. That's definitely one of my favorite boss battles, just because I always thought Krang was cool in that. I thought that was a really neat concept. I don't know if anybody remembers that really well too, but I just love like I said, I love the whole the background and everything. That level was I don't know necessarily if it was one of my overall favorite levels, but it was definitely one of the most cool levels as well too. Fanboy did not love dinosaurs as a kid. His parents would often take him to see the dinosaurs live. Thank you, Cappadocian, for another old joke, you piece of shit. I appreciate that. And then once you got to the end of the level, don't forget, to the end of the game, you ended up fighting Super Shredder in the SNES port. And there he is, doing some weird Kamehameha move or something like that. Now, this photo was very hard to find, an actual photo of a Super Shredder and not regular Shredder from the arcade version. So I had to really do some digging. So if the quality's a little off, I apologize. A lot of these stuff's hard to find some of this in some form of decent quality or just even at all. You have to really do some digging. But he was annoying too because if you remember, he would shoot out some of those flames and it would almost take out all your life or insta kill you. It was kind of a biatch to deal with, and it was nice if you had more than one person to do it. So yes, Vanilla Ice Ninja Rap, yes, thank you. So that's that for at least the actual run of the game from kind of the beginning to the end there and whatnot, for a good portion or some of my favorite chunks of those levels as well too. I tried to find a picture of Leatherhead as well at the end of Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. That was on the train level. That was a really cool level as well too. But overall, again, the game had great level design, had great sound like you were in Turtles. It felt like you were in a Turtles game. Everything about it was very, very perfect for the actual license itself. And honestly, the game continues to live. So the big thing that really kind of kicked it off, if you guys remember, in 2009, and as a big Xbox Live arcade game player back then, they re-released the game, actually. It was a whole 3-day remake by Ubisoft. They brought it out, and it was called Reshelled. Came out on 360 and PS3 in 2009. And I don't know if it's backwards compatible, so I don't think it's anything I could re-download on my Xbox One X. I would love to, again, because, again, I love this game. But I do have it on the SNES Mini, which that port came out. The SNES Mini came out, I think, 2 years ago. I want to say maybe 2018. I believe that's one of the games on there as well too, is Turtles in Time. But I can't remember. Kat, will you look up that real quick? Is that on the SNES Mini? I was going to look that up and I kind of forgot if that was on there. I want to say it is. I could be wrong though, because I want to say there was a couple that there wasn't in there. Hey, what's happening, Chief Ed? Welcome. But I don't recall for sure, Cap. So figure that out for me, Cap. But what is really, really extra cool, outside of the fact whether it's on the Mini or not, is that this game last year, along with the original, it is okay. So yes, this game is on the SNES Mini. I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. I don't play that enough. So again, after 2009, 2 years ago, it gets another, basically kind of has itself still out there in some form of hardware with the SNES Mini that Nintendo released. And then last year, the Arcade 1-Up cab got released, and it had this port, the SNES actual port with the different bosses, and it had the original arcade port of Turtles in Time on it. So our friend Noel actually has it. It's a very, very awesome cab. It's very crisp and very clear. I've got a NBA Jam Arcade 1-Up. They're very nice arcade cabs. They're only around $400 or $500. They're kind of inexpensive. They're not like bulky and big like they used to be. They don't need to be because technology has moved so far. Everything's like smaller, thinner, streamlined, and they're just an overall great value to jump onto something like this. Matter of fact, you can even buy the matching stool for this cab along with the risers as well too. But you can sit there and just play this all the time. So when we were over to Noel's last fall, like, he has an area where he's got all set up, and the first thing I kind of went over was like right to the Turtles in Time. Like, oh, I'm gonna try it on a cab, right? I haven't played something like that in a cab in a long time. They're very sharp. They're only like $400. I've really had a hard time not buying this on cab, but I literally have it on so much different other things and emulators and stuff that it's almost, and I've still got the SNES card as well too, that it's almost not worth it for me to do it. I'd rather save that money for some form of arcade 1-Up that has either more games or stuff that's harder to get or harder to find. So there's one I'm kind of eyeballing that they're supposed to announce, supposed to release yet this year too, that I might pick up. But regardless, Turtles in Time, absolutely amazing, and that's a look at the actually arcade 1-Up right there as well. And you can see there's a 4-player port. Now, these are definitely a little cramped, especially if you got some bigger friends. Like, it's hard to get 4 people around these, but you can at least have this in your home, 4 players and stuff like that, and then even buy the stool as well too. So, Turtles is not on the SNES Classic. So, okay, so there it is. So there's the definitive answer, and I apologize for not finding that out sooner, or at least bringing that up. But thank you, Cap, for being on top of that. That was one of the games everybody was bummed about that was not on that actual system, and surprising. And it's probably got to do with licensing with Konami, and the actual brand of Turtles itself is probably why. There was a fighting game on the SNES, I believe, as well too. I don't know. No, Hyper Heist was on Sega, but I don't know. I don't recall for sure. Yeah, it was the fighting game on the SNES, right, Cap? Yeah, I think that was the only other. That was an awesome game as well too. I think they had Super Shredder in as well too. Cap, you want to see what was there another SNES game that had Turtles on it as well too? There, Cap, if you don't mind. Because I don't recall besides the fighting game. Yeah, Tournament of Fighters. I played the shit out of that one as well too. There was definitely one on the big one on the SNES, or on the original NES. And there was the Manhattan Project. I don't know if that came out on NES or if that came out on like Sega or something separately as well too. That one was on something that I don't honestly recall offhand, because this was honestly the one I just played over and over, besides the Tournament of Fighters, which was awesome. But there it is. That is all the goodness I've got about TMNT Turtles in Time. I should actually put up the other graphic I had posted my head on the left corner there on Michelangelo somewhere. If you haven't seen it on social media, it's pretty dope. Clearly, I belong as a Ninja Turtle in the Neon Knight Rider stages specifically. But there it is. So, a couple things of note that I'd like to chit-chat about for a hot second. So, as always, last night we had a B&B proper, 9 o'clock here live right on Twitch. If you missed last night's show, tonight at 9 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, you can watch a replay of that, and then that means it's going to be out all over. I believe it's already out on Spotify as well, too. Check out Banter and Babble on Facebook. Check out Banter and Babble on YouTube. Give us a holler if you miss a show. Here's the thing. It's a long show. It's a 2-hour show. It's the longest show we've probably done yet to date. There was a lot of getting saucy towards the end of the evening. Dude definitely was slurring, as I call him earlier. Captain slurs a lot. The last topic was about, choosing your captain for that poll that we had done, and, we're revealing who we chose for, and the chat's going back and forth and everybody. And, again, dude, as I was talking about earlier, dude couldn't differentiate between Star Trek and Star Wars. So thanks a lot for that, dude. Look like a wiener. But yeah, if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, catch up on that tonight, 9 o'clock. We appreciate your guys' constant support. A lot of y'all have been really supportive of us from the get. We are actually coming up on our year anniversary of doing Banter and Babble, starting, of course, on Mixer, now here on Twitch, live, doing these quickies, doing the B&B plays, getting everything up on YouTube and all over as well, too. The dude says it's an honest mistake. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's an honest mistake, huh? Yeah. They sound so like Wars and Trek. Kirk. Captain James T. Kirk. Hi, I'm Captain of the Millennium Falcon. Also, this Saturday night, me and Dude are going to be streaming the Avengers beta Saturday night around 10:30 p.m. somewhere in that window. I do have to work, so it's gonna be a little bit later, but I don't have to work Sunday, so we're gonna be able to be up for a little while as well too. Vader Immortal Star Wars VR release, state of play, launch trailer, PSVR. Oh, I've got it on the Oculus Quest, but now it's coming to the PSVR. That's a pretty big fucking deal. That's dope. No, I didn't see it. Are they adding more shit to it? I don't even want to know right yet. I forgot the state of play today. What time is the state of play? I missed everything today. I forgot about that. There you go, folks. We'll have some news on that soon. But yeah, Saturday night, if you guys got nothing going on, Dude and I are going to be playing this new Avengers game, this beta. Would love to have you. If you want to come by, we're probably going to be drinking and goofing. Definitely Piccolo will be around as well, too, because if there's one thing I like about Dude, it's Piccolo more than him. So we're going to be hanging out and doing some squad stuff. Really excited to kind of, like, jump into that. It's got what looks like to me a mash between, like, kind of some Destiny elements, but definitely some Marvel Ultimate Alliance, like they kind of mashed and had maybe a gamma radiated baby. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for good stuff. I don't get too deep into like games with a lot of loot these days, but it might be a good time for some of us to get together and play that. And then again, Saturday night, come hang out with us. We'll have all the news for next week. Dude, when are you doing? You've got something planned maybe for Sunday night, I believe. Are you doing a quickie that night? I thought maybe I saw something planned potentially for then. But in the meantime, if you guys like the content, enjoy here, please give us a, follow here, on the channel. Check us out, YouTube, Banter and Babble, likes, subscribes, all that stuff. We appreciate your guys' support. Continue to please, if you can, share us all over social media, Facebook, Twitter. We do have an Instagram now, too. You can check out Banter and Babble on Instagram. That just happened today out of nowhere, and it's pretty awesome already, so if you get a chance, follow us in there. You can check our link tree, join our Discord as well, too. Let's see if that's even, sometimes the bots for these. Yep, there's our Discord right there. If you guys would like and want to hang out with us all the time, talk about the show, talk about topics, hop in our Discord. We love hearing from you. We clown a lot throughout the day. Some days it's quiet. Other days, some of us don't shut up, and it gets real fun and deviant in there, so love to have you there as well, too. Next week, dude, yep, you got your B&B Quickies next week. I don't know if you got a day planned for that, but watch for that on all the social medias as well, too. My next B&B Quickie, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I might do another wrestling match, or I'm going to do a movie. But if you guys got, ideas, no. That's a big no. Take that off there. That's actually a big TOS issue. Delete that as soon as you can. Cap. I'll explain later. I'll figure that out. But No Escape, that's what he's doing. He's targeting Tuesday. No Escape from 1994. If you guys haven't seen the movie, get a chance to watch it and want to be able to talk about it with the dude, keep an eye out on all the social medias to be able to do that. So that's going to do it for me, everybody. Again, we appreciate all your support. Last night was a great show. If you want to catch it again, check it at 9 p.m. this evening. It's going to be replaying on YouTube and on Facebook, I believe, as well. And as always, continue to tell everybody about us. Those shares, likes, follows, subscribes. You all do a great job of promoting us, and we really super appreciate that. So thank you so very much for that. As always, everybody, you guys take care. I will see you very soon. Watch those social medias for any updates. And honestly, just, be safe, be well out there. And we will talk to you very soon. See ya.